Venus is about to fall down. Well, not literally, but she's about to enter the sign of her fall of Virgo on Sunday, August 4th. Here, Venus will stay until August 29th, and this time around her situation will be even more complicated because Mercury, the ruler of Venus, will be retrograde the entire time. Let's take a look at this transit and break it down for all 12 signs. My name is Anastasia. I'm a traditional Western astrologer specializing in natal, relationship, and predictive readings. If you enjoy my work, please take a few seconds to show your support by leaving a like or a comment, subscribing, and pressing the notification bell. Watch another one of my videos. Anything you do helps bring more attention to my channel, helps me grow. You have another way of saying thank you, and that is by buying me a coffee, a tea, a croissant. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate every single one of you. So thank you for being here, for watching my content, for supporting me as much as you can. Before we dive in, a couple of announcements. If you're looking for a personal consultation, you want me to look at your chart and consider your unique natal potential or your year to come or your relationship, you can book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. On my website, you can also find a variety of creations I make. For example, I have recently added notebooks to my arsenal. This is a Virgo one because we're talking about Venus and Virgo. It has 200 pages that are aligned. I designed these, for example, this is Aquarius, which is really pretty, Libra, my rising sign, and Gemini. And you can find these on my website. They are beautiful, functional, and perfect for any astrologer lover like you and me. Additionally, since we are talking about Venus being in the sign of her fall, for most of August, I would like to highlight my Venus in Taurus candle. This one captures Venus in rulership, right? Like in astrology, we have levels of strength. Venus in its fall struggles with relaxing, which is one of the things we can expect. It's struggles with being too critical and too analytical, and it's hard, right? Like it's hard to be completely at ease if your mind is constantly going and not stopping, right? It's perfect for maybe critics, but it's not always great for everyday life. So Venus in Taurus is Venus in rulership. This is a beautiful candle. It's pink. It's decorated with amethyst stones. It smells like rose. And because it captures Venus in the chill, earthy, sensual, pleasure-loving sign of Taurus, it can help you connect with that energy. When you light it up, it infuses your space with the aroma of roses and helps you find peace and tranquility within. It can also improve relationships, help with communication and understanding in relationships, and bring inspiration and more abundance in your life. Additionally, if you're seeking peace and abundance, Moon in Cancer is always a great choice. This is second edition, created in 2024. The first edition was sold out. And this one is super pretty. It smells delicious. It smells like moonflower nectar. And it has the additional benefit of being sparkling. And this one is very much, Moon in Cancer is my choice for anyone born with their moon in Capricorn or Scorpio, moon in the 6th, 12th, or 8th houses, moon conjunct Saturn, opposite or square Saturn, conjunct Pluto, and moon Venus in Taurus is really great for anyone born with their Venus in Virgo, Scorpio, or Aries, the sign of detriment and fall. If you're born with Venus retrograde, if you're born with Venus in 12th, 8th, or 6th houses. So thank you for listening. Once again, thank you for supporting my work and for understanding that I want to share my creations with you because I made them initially to help myself, and I am super happy when they help you and make your life a little bit easier. So let's talk about Venus in Virgo, right? Venus is in Virgo pretty much every year. So we are upon another transit of Venus in Virgo. Some of us, like me, are born with this. So this is our Venus return. Please let me know if you are in the same group with me, if you also have Venus in Virgo. Venus is the planet of love, beauty, accord. She likes to enjoy life. She likes to savor the moment. That's why she's happy in Taurus, right? She likes relationships. That's why she's happy in Libra. I'm just like juggling. But she's all about enjoyment and pleasure and understanding, right? Virgo is a Mercury ruled sign. It's a sign of sifting through the harvest, right? It's the last sign of summer. It's the sign when people gather the harvest and get ready to spread it around, to distribute it. So Virgo, being that final sign of summer, has a very like analytical attitude to it, right? And of course I'm talking about the northern hemisphere summer. But like Virgo is the sign of the mind. It's the yin Mercury, so it's very much about digesting and narrowing down and perfecting. But Mercury is the planet of intellect, right? So in Virgo, the intellect is really, really strong. So what happens when Venus gets into Virgo? She becomes very analytical. And that's why Venus is in her fall in Virgo, because it's really hard to be in the moment and to be just sort of chill and relaxed if you are aware of everything that can go wrong, if you are built to analyze, to perfect, right? We may notice on a collective level between the 4th and the 29th of August that we tend to be a little bit more critical of our partners. So you got to watch out for that, right? Like there is, of course, that desire to help and improve. And you might want to help your partner, so doing acts of service for them, tending to their needs, helping them with their routines is a great way to express this Venus. But you want to watch out for criticizing, right? Like it's one thing to help them with something, it's another thing to harp on all of their imperfections. Being a bit more self-critical is quite likely, right? The analysis, the intellectual quality of Virgo can be very well used for perfecting your skills. Mercury's retrograde, right? Like I mentioned, Mercury's retrograde while Venus is in Virgo, and Virgo is ruled by Mercury. So the planet Venus is responding to is traveling back. So there could be a lot of like uncertainty, a lot of need to re-edit things, redo things, rethink things. We might find ourselves rethinking our relationships, rethinking what we're serving, whether relationships, products, projects, careers, whether they're worth our time, right? So there might be a little bit more of that uncertainty with this transit. But it's great with Mercury retrograde. It's great for editing some of the work that you've done, right? My example is I'm working on the 2025 planner, so this period might be the time when I go through it with a fine-tooth comb and make sure I like spell check everything, I double check everything, right? So it could be, you might find joy in that type of work, right? Like you might find joy in helping your friends write their thesis paper. You might enjoy giving other people advice, especially if they ask you for advice, right? Don't just volunteer advice without them asking. You may notice more focus on technical things, more focus on skill, more focus on using your hands, more precision in your speech, right? So there's definitely kind of possibilities, quite lovely possibilities, but watch out for that criticism, being too tough on yourself, too tough on your loved ones, struggling to let go of control, being too fussy, too worried. That's probably my biggest problem in life. Like even when life is beautiful and everything is great, there is always something to worry about when you have a ton of Virgo in your chart. I wonder if you guys can understand. Definitely both a blessing and a curse, right? To be able to think far ahead. Some of the people born with this placement are Charlize Theron, and she's definitely, because Venus is in her fall in Virgo, she definitely has had challenges as a kid with her father and, helping her mom, and there's been so much drama there. Kim Kardashian, who has struggled with relationships for sure. Kylie Jenner, who has this whole kind of confusion around whether she's confident, whether she's done, sort of. I don't know a ton about her, but you can't help but hear that, you know, she like told people for a long time that she didn't have lip fillers, but she did have. So with Venus and Virgo, there might be that sort of insecurity sometimes that comes out. And I mean, it doesn't have to be, but I think like Venus and Virgo is like, could be like a craftswoman or craftsman that works really hard to perfect herself or perfect something in life, and you don't want to take it too far. Happy Venus return to everyone who has Venus and Virgo. Like I said, let me know if this is you. It's definitely me. And let's talk about some of the important dates, right? So since Venus is in Virgo between the 4th and 29th of August, it's ruled by Mercury retrograde. Mercury goes retrograde on the 5th, wraps up the retrograde on the 28th. So we get the 4th and the 29th out of the entire 3 weeks of Venus in Virgo. There's only 2 days while Mercury's not retrograde and Mercury's stationing those days. So it's definitely not like the easiest transit. Doesn't mean it's gonna be full of drama, but it's possibly not the best time to maybe publish your work. Maybe it's better to kind of, you know, slow down and reflect and take care of yourself. So Mercury will be retrograding in Virgo between August 5th and 14th, and this is quite supportive. It's Mercury's in rulership in Virgo, so maybe we are analyzing things and editing our work and perfecting our environments, our relationships, just tending to things that need to be done, right? This could be about like little perfections. You wanted to clean up your closet, and you actually do it with this placement. And then Mercury, the ruler of Venus, will be in Leo between the 14th and the 28th of August. And this could be a bit more about our egos, our pride, our need for recognition. Like, we will still be service oriented and very practical and analytical, but a lot more focused on whether our relationships and partnerships and projects give us that sense of fulfillment. August 19th, 3 days before, 3 days after, might be a bit rough as Venus squares Jupiter and opposes Saturn, highlighting the Jupiter-Saturn square. It might reveal some tension in your life between the desire for growth, represented by Jupiter, and the need for stability, represented by Saturn. So there might be a sense of some kind of roadblock in a relationship, some type of difficult situation you have to work through, or a sense of separation, melancholy, some type of, you know, like difficulty that you either walk away from or you work through. Of course, as always with Saturn, you are encouraged to commit, to persevere, to work really hard. August 22nd, Venus squares Mars. This is masculine versus feminine, desire to do too many things versus desire to focus on one thing. So there might be relationship difficulties, relationship tensions, but if a relationship is healthy, this can just be, you know, disagreement that results in a passionate night potentially, because Venus in a square to Mars is like Aphrodite going against Aries. And in Greco-Roman myth, the two were constantly fighting and then making up and making love. So the two possibilities, right? August 27th offers us a reprieve as Venus trines Uranus. Could potentially be the time to try out a unique style, experiment in the bedroom, maybe go on a fun date. And then on the 28th of August, Venus opposes Neptune, and that could be a sign of some type of romantic confusion, disillusionment, disappointment, insecurity. So it's, you know, it's definitely, it could be better. This transit could be better. But once again, check out my shop. Consider getting yourself one of my Venus. I have Venus in Taurus, Exalted Venus, and Venus in Libra. These are very much good for Venusian topics. So if you're feeling things are getting you down, check out my offerings. And if you're looking for a personal consultation, you want to know what's coming up for you, how to deal with your natal chart, how to unlock its potential, book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. So let's take it through all 12 rising signs. If you are an Aries rising, Venus is about to enter your 6th house. 6th house is the place of work, health, service. And Venus will want to focus on those areas, right? So this transit could be good, especially with Mercury being retrograde in the 6th and the 5th houses. This transit could be good for focusing on your everyday life and trying to find more pleasure in everyday life, trying to perfect your routines, right? Venus in the 6th would want to eat healthier, so starting to meal prep, doing research about health, about diet, maybe looking into exercise, looking into what's best for you, and maybe hiring a trainer or talking to someone. Venus in the 6th could also be the time when you are laboring over a project and investing a lot of energy into making sure every little detail is perfect. Professionally, a lot of focus goes to relationships with colleagues. There might be some tensions between your physical health and your mental health around the 19th, 3 days before, 3 days after, as Venus opposes Saturn. So I think this transit will remind you that you cannot have perfect physical wellness without attending to your mind. And watch out for conflicts, scheduling issues, disagreements, sort of verbal fights around the 22nd of the month as Venus squares Mars in your 3rd house. Like, also make sure that you're not rushing, because with Mars in your 3rd house and a square to Venus, there might just be like this desire to get things done fast, and that might result into like a mistake, an error of judgment, and into like even an accident potentially. But it is a great transit to start working out, to make a doctor's appointment, to rethink what you eat, to rethink your routines, to start meditating, to start taking regular walks, right? Virgo is an earth sign. It would appreciate being out in the nature. If you feel like it might be too complicated, get my Venus and Taurus candle. It can also help your financial sector if that's something you could use improvement in. And if you're looking for more, book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. For the lovely Taurus rising, Venus is entering your 5th house. Venus is in her joy in the 5th house, but this transit is a bit complicated, right? She's in the sign of her fall. She's ruled by Mercury retrograde the whole time. She's making a bunch of complicated aspects, so she will kind of go through the ringer a little bit. But let's talk about the positives, right? So the good thing this could be used for, dating. Not just dating, but being Virgo-like about dating, right? You might want to do a spreadsheet of everything you want, everything you don't want, how much time you're willing to spend on a date, how much time you're willing to spend talking to your potential partner. Being kind of rational about dating. Don't go too far. Don't like pull out a list of questions for your romantic interest, but being a little bit more precise and specific is good. 5th house deals with pleasure and self-expression, so you might notice with this Venus that you are being focused on like perfecting a creative project, right? Going, like, let's say you have a video you've been editing, Venus enters Virgo, and you are putting the finishing sort of touches and polishing it. This could be great. If you're a parent or, about to become a parent, this transit could be great for like teaching your child some kind of skills, helping them improve. And maybe, getting ready for a child coming into your life. All of that could be lovely. The challenges are being too critical of your love interest, being too hard on yourself, and sort of struggling to see the light because you see imperfections over the light and over the accomplishments you're making. Being, tough on the children because you're being perfectionist is quite likely here. August 19th, Venus will oppose Saturn in the 11th, which might suggest that your desires contradict those of your friends, or they contradict your social plans. So you might run into some kind of disagreements with friends or some kind of tensions around how you spend your time. And then on the 22nd of the month, Venus will square Mars in your second house. So you might also have to deal with drama, tensions, conflicts involving money and values, maybe different views of pleasure, different views of spending, different views of parenthood that you will need to address. So this could be, this could be a bit of a difficult transit. I highly, highly recommend my Venus in Taurus candle because you are a Taurus rising. This will harmoniously trine Venus in Virgo and help you find ease and joy and pleasure in your life. Jupiter in Taurus could be really great too. And just try to keep the big picture in mind. Try to make sure you're not focusing on the details too much and forgetting about the goal, right? Like if the goal is to have a happy relationship, maybe it's not so important to pick on your partner for not putting their socks in the proper drawer. If you're looking for more, book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. If you are the lovely Gemini rising, Venus is entering your 4th house. So Venus will be in the 4th. She will be ruled by Mercury Retrograde from the 4th moving from the 4th into the 3rd. Venus in the 4th is the time when you're feeling more attracted to spending time at home. You're finding more joy in being at home. With Venus being in Virgo, you might not just want to be at home, but you might want to improve your space, paint the walls, fix any imperfections in the wall paint, in the bedding, anything you can fix, you will enjoy doing, decluttering, getting rid of some of the clothes, rethinking your familial relationships, maybe having some conversations with family members about improving things. Venus is in her fall in Virgo, so I would recommend you watch out for being too tough on your family members or too critical of others. But it could also definitely be the time when you're talking about things that need to be said. Yes, Venus is in her fall in Virgo and she's very analytical and very intellectual. But we need that sometimes. Life is not just all like rosy walk in the park. Sometimes you need to discuss practical things. And especially with Mercury being retrograde, traveling from your 4th into the 3rd, you're going from the house of home and family to the house of siblings and communication. So maybe you have to talk things out with your sibling about the family, or you need to talk to your landlord or discuss something about your home and maybe rethink your living situation. August 19th and 22nd, 3 days before, 3 days after, can be a bit rough as Venus opposes Saturn, pinning your desire to stay at home and connect with family against your professional duties and responsibilities, and potentially igniting some frustration within you, and some tensions might be highlighted. So make sure you're handling things with patience and avoid screaming at people. And if you're looking for more, book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. If you are the beautiful Cancer rising, Venus is entering your 3rd house. This could be the time you are exploring creative ideas. 3rd house is the place of communication, writing, blogging, skills, hobbies, business. So Venus in the 3rd, Venus in Virgo, could urge you to improve your skills, right? Maybe you're taking a class that teaches you public speaking or teaches you graphics design so that you can design your brand's logo, right? Like Venus in Virgo will always want to do something that improves either your skills, your communication, your relationships, starting partnerships with siblings, maybe looking for new kind of teachers, mentors, agreements with other people, getting more involved with the community, trying to help the community. Maybe you start volunteering, is highly likely here. One of the challenges of Venus in her fall is being too critical of others, being sort of too perfectionist. Highly recommend my Venus in Taurus candle, because this is Venus in rulership and she's a lot more chill and kind of social and good at getting along with people. This could be lovely for you guys. It also falls in your 11th house of friendships and hopes and dreams, helping you get in touch with your goals. But like be careful that you're not getting too frustrated by the scope of things. Venus in Virgo in general is famous for not seeing the forest for the trees. So you don't want to overload yourself, overwhelm yourself, and maybe don't do things because they're not perfect. Look for those opportunities to improve things, improve yourself, improve your skills, improve your knowledge, and avoid being too picky. You might also find yourself mediating conflicts and going back and forth between people and maybe groups of people, maybe helping your community or helping your sibling get along with others. August 19th could be a bit rough as Venus opposes Saturn in the 9th. Perhaps you run into some kind of roadblock involving a legal matter, an immigration situation, traveling delay, or a writing problem that you need to work through, right? Like, I think once again, Venus in the 3rd will be like, okay, let's write a list. Let's think of steps we can take. Let's keep going. And then some conflicts between men and women, between kind of desire to do things and a need to deal with some problems are also possible around August 22nd, 3 days before, 3 days after. If you're looking for more, book a reading on my website. We can look at your natal chart, talk about your relationship or your year to come. For Leo risings, Venus is entering your 2nd house, which is all about money, values, resources, and self-worth. And self-worth might be a little bit shaky at this time. Venus is ruled by Mercury Retrograde the entire time, going from your 2nd house into your 1st. Watch out for tying your self-worth to how much money you have and how good your financial situation is, because you can always make more money. You are a Leo rising, a bright star, right? And you have Virgo in your 2nd house, so you're also likely to be quite sort of practical with money. Of course, other aspects, planets might affect the situation. But, like Venus in the 2nd, in its most positive, could be the time when you are making investments, you are being analytical, you're sort of researching things. Of course, with the retrograde of Mercury at the same time, maybe don't make huge decisions, do a lot of research and wait for later to sort of pull the plug. But researching investments, coming up with new money-making ideas, editing your work, editing your writing projects, maybe looking back at old creative ideas and bringing them. Maybe you're selling some of your clothes or beauty products or some of your creative projects as well. Spending more on your look, on yourself, on your beauty is also a possibility here. But like I said, definitely watch out for being too hard on yourself, and you may have to deal with some tensions between like your values and your partner's values, your resources and your partner's resources, or your kind of goals and the debts that you have, especially around August 19th, 3 days before, 3 days after, as Venus opposes Saturn, and may deal with a bit of conflicts also involving money, values, friendships on the 22nd, as Venus squares Mars. Let me know how this resonates. If you're looking for more, book a reading on my website, AnastasiaDoesAstrology.com. If you are a Virgo rising, Venus is entering your 1st house. And this, on many levels, is lovely. It's the time when you feel very Venusian. Venus is not doing super great this transit because she's ruled by Mercury retrograde. And she's in her fall, so you may have to deal with an element of like self-criticism, being too hard on yourself, staring in the mirror and like analyzing every pore, every imperfection on your face. So watch out for that shadow perfectionist, not seeing the beauty for the imperfections type energy. But it could be lovely, you know, Venus in the first house could be lovely for taking on new creative projects, for perfecting your look, perfecting your style, maybe making some kind of, you know, decluttering your closet and making some improvements, figuring out new diet, new exercise routine, new branding, like, because Mercury is retrograde simultaneously, you might be rethinking a lot of your skincare, a lot of your outfits and your choices on some level, right? And maybe even rewriting, re-editing, redoing some things. August 19th might bring up some tensions involving relationships and partnerships as Venus opposes Saturn, and August 22nd, 3 days before, 3 days after, Venus will square Mars on the 10th, which could reflect some conflicts with your bosses or authority figures or people in power in your life. So, like I said, you know, use this to focus on self-improvement, but watch out for being too critical of yourself, because it's not just you, everybody's feeling it. This transit will likely affect many of us, but of course for you it's Venus in your first house, so it's most embodied, most sort of physical, and you might notice it affecting your energy quite a lot. Could be good, she said, hopefully. If you're looking for more, book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. For Libra risings, Venus is about to enter your 12th house, and she's your chart ruler, so this is quite important, right? Venus in the 12th is the time when your love life, your imagination, your creativity shifts behind the scenes a little bit, right? You may feel more private. You may feel like you don't want to be in the spotlight as much. You want to take a step back. You maybe are working on something, but privately, right? It could be a great time with Mercury retrograde from the 12th into 11th to re-edit some of your spiritual projects, to revisit your meditation practice, to resume journaling, to go in nature, to sort of ground yourself and have some quiet time. Watch out for the usual Venus and Virgo downfalls, and that is being too critical. Watch out for falling into savior-victim dynamics where you choose a romantic interest based on how wounded they are because you want to help them. Be careful going towards relationships that are toxic, that are, you know, going for people who are unavailable. This could be very much like a good time to understand yourself. Like Venus in the 12th, the sun is going to go into your 12th shortly, is the time when you are becoming more self-aware, potentially maybe not through the best, not through not through the greatest situations, but maybe through more challenging situations, especially, like I said, with Mercury being retrograde. Some drama between that need for solitude and your workload is likely in the middle of the month, between 16th and 22nd, as Venus opposes Saturn. And you may run into some conflicts, ideological debates, issues involving travel, education, writing, law, publishing on the 22nd, 3 days before and after, as Venus squares Mars. Highly recommend my Venus in Libra 2 candle for you guys, because this is your ruler in the empowered sign of Libra. She's at home here. She is confident, secure, beautiful, charming. So this is a candle that could be great for you at all times, but especially right now. You can find it on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. You can also book a reading on there to understand yourself better, to talk about your relationship or your year to come. Now, if you are the lovely Scorpio rising, Venus is entering your 11th house. She will be in your 11th house simultaneously with Mercury retrograding in your 11th and 12th houses. So Venus in the 11th is the time you crave connection with others. You want to spend more time with friends. You want to spend more time networking. You're maybe going to more weddings, to more parties, maybe speaking in public, speaking at conferences, doing group activities that are healthy, So Venus, she's in Virgo, right? Earthy. So maybe you join a running club and you both socializing, but also improving your health. Doing activities that are maybe like crafts oriented, that help the world, sort of altruistic, volunteer type activities could be great at this time. Venus represents love, so when she's retrograde, when she's in the 11th and Mercury's retrograde in the 11th, you may have to deal with an ex who's also a friend, a friend who's an ex, who's a friend who's an ex. And might have to have some conversations, right? Like Venus in the 11th house could also reveal any challenges in your friendships, and with Mercury being retrograde here, suggests that you need to talk about things. Yeah, especially if you have like a bit of a complicated relationship with a friend or some type of like past unresolved challenge. Could be a great time to network, to look sort of at your connections, to improve relationships, to do sort of helpful work, and maybe even help a friend go through, sort of navigate a challenging situation in life if they're struggling. Tensions between your social life and your personal life, your parent, your children, your romantic relationship may come up around the 19th of the month as Venus opposes Saturn, 3 days before, 3 days after. And then some conflicts around money, maybe some tensions, disagreements about values with your friends are likely on the 22nd as Venus squares Mars. So be mindful. Highly recommend Venus and Taurus candle. This one falls in your 7th house and could help you navigate the more difficult situations, relax, find ease, get along with others. You can find it on my website. I was about to toss it. Find it on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. And if you're looking for a personal consultation, you can also book a reading on there too. If you are a Sagittarius rising, Venus is about to enter your 10th house simultaneously as Mercury begins its retrograde. So Venus in the 10th, right, could be the time you are seeking more pleasure in your job. You're seeking enjoyment. You don't just want to do something for a living, get paid, forget about it. You want to have fun. You want to enjoy things. So Venus in the 10th with Mercury retrograde at the same time will encourage you to rethink your professional situation. Can you do something right now? Maybe it's about bringing flowers, putting flowers next to your desk. Maybe it's about getting your favorite mug, bringing it to your job, or getting a coffee maker like for the office, right? Like Venus in the 10th might offer an opportunity to bring these sort of small pleasurable activities to your work life. You may seek to improve your relationship with your boss. You may also seek to improve your skills. And that makes a lot of sense with Mercury retrograding from your 10th house of career to your 9th house of education. So wanting perfection, wanting things to be better, wanting to master a skill is quite likely with this placement, and perhaps opportunities to do so are coming right around the corner. Romantic interest coming from your job at this time. Romantic interest might be coming from your job at this time. But because Mercury is retrograde at the same time, I wonder if there is some element of like complication, or you wondering whether this is something worth pursuing, right? Watch out for tensions between your professional desires and your duties, responsibilities to home and family. Maybe some kind of restrictions that are coming from home and family. Like, you know, there is a great opportunity, but you have a young child that you want to spend time with, so you have to balance things. And that is around August 19th, 3 days before, 3 days after, as Venus opposes Saturn. And then on the 22nd of the month, Venus will square Mars in your 7th house, which could be a conflict with your partner, with your business associate, or with your spouse, significant other, that is somehow connected to your work attitude, right? Like you've been working really, really hard. You've been trying to finish a project, finish it on time, and then your partner feels neglected, and you get into a battle around that. So try to be patient. Watch out for being too critical. Don't be too hard on yourself, and it will all work out. And if you need some additional support, Venus in Libra too can be perfect, because this one was created with Sagittarius on the ascendant, and it captures Venus in the sign of rulership, helping you navigate challenging situations, get along with people, and create harmony and find inspiration. You can find it on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com, and you can also book a reading on there if you have additional questions you'd like me to answer. If you are a Capricorn rising, Venus is entering your 9th house. And Venus in the 9th house, in the practical, improvement-oriented sign of Virgo, will encourage you to learn. It will encourage you to open yourself up. Perfect time to study a language. You may be going back to a language you once studied but didn't perfect, with Mercury going retrograde at the same time. Could be the time you are taking exams, you are listening to lectures, because once again, very self-improvement oriented. Venus always represents romance, so dating a foreigner, because Mercury is retrograde at the same time. Maybe it's a foreign ex, someone from your past who's also foreign, or someone you studied with in the past who is coming back into your life. There might be legal matters that you're addressing. There might be writing projects that need another attention, another round, right? Once again, some type of like editing, re-editing, perfecting that you're doing. Just watch out for being too kind of hard on yourself and too focused on things being perfect and forgetting to enjoy the ride, right? It could also be a great time to travel, maybe once again, travel back to a place you once were, Mercury retrograde, but travel, strike up a conversation with someone foreign, date someone foreign. Just keep in mind the whole like Mercury retrograde energy and do not rush into things. August 19th can bring some ideological debates, travel challenges, logistical issues that affect your plans, affect your flow, as Venus opposes Saturn. And then August 22nd, we have Venus squaring Mars, which could be some type of tension involving a problem you've been facing, involving your work situation, maybe a colleague, or some kind of logistical problem that you're facing. Let me know if you're looking for more. You can find all of my offerings, my readings, and my candles. Highly recommend Venus and Taurus to help alleviate some of the Venus and fall stress. You can find all of that on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com, so you can pick up a candle there or book a reading or say hi. Send me a message, but you can also say hi down there. If you are an Aquarius rising, Venus is about to enter your 8th house. And Venus in the 8th house is really quite good for working with other people. She can help you come up with creation together. You can feel inspired to collaborate with others. You can feel more kind of interested in joining forces and connecting. 8th house is the place of shared resources, partners, money. So Venus in the 8th could also bring blessings to your partner. Maybe they're getting a bonus or they're getting a raise of some sorts. Venus is in her fall in Virgo. So yes, you are interested in partnerships and you are interested in working with other people. You, however, might be a bit more critical of other people, or even critical of yourself. A little bit perfectionist and struggling to sort of appreciate the moment or let go of control, right? So watch out for that. With Venus in the 8th, you may also notice your interest in tarot, astrology, death, mysteries, detective speaking. You might like, there might be a little bit of drama in relationships. Venus in the 8th house is the place of like upheavals and turmoil. So be mindful that you're not creating upheavals and turmoil. Watch out for some conflicts involving money and resources on August 19th, 3 days before, 3 days after, as Venus opposes Saturn in your 2nd house. You and your partner might disagree on the best way to spend money, make an investment. And then August 22nd, Venus in your 8th house will square Mars in the 5th, which is another sign of a potential conflict about parenthood, maybe you're parenting a dog together, or an actual, child parenthood, disagreements around resources. You want to go on a trip, they want to buy a boat, or some other kind of problem that you need to work through. All in all, Venus in the 8th house really calls you to talk about things and not hide them. It's like 8th house is the dark house. It has a lot of these sort of questions of fairness. What do we think is fair? What is not? And so Venus being here, yes, Mercury's retrograde from your 8th into the 7th. Relationships may feel uncomfortable. There may be things that don't feel fair. So Venus will encourage you to talk things out. And if you're looking for some help in terms of talking things out, I highly recommend my Mercury Cazimi candle for you guys, because this is Gemini, Mercury conjunct the Sun. This is your 5th house of romance and pleasure and self-expression. So it can help you communicate better, enjoy life better, find clarity, express yourself, and sort of have more ease in relationships and even relationship with your child. This could be great. You can find this candle on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. I also have, look at this, I have this beautiful Aquarius notebook. How pretty is this? This is like one of my favorites. I just recently designed them. Anyways, all of this is on my website. You can also book a reading on there, anastasiadoesastrology.com. Last but not least, if you are a Pisces rising, Venus is about to enter your 7th house. And this suggests that a lot of focus goes to your relationships. However, Venus is in her fall in Virgo, and this time around she's ruled by Mercury retrograde, right? So there is a double challenge and some aspects. So a bunch of challenges that Venus has to deal with. On the positive, right? Venus in the 7th house could help you get clear on what you want romantically. Could be the time you're going on more dates and you're thinking rationally about things. You are approaching dating from a, thinking about long term, thinking of whether the relationship has staying power. On the negative, you might be a bit too critical, or you might notice that your partner is being too critical, and that is creating stress and tension in your relationship. So, yes, Venus in the 7th, Mercury retrograde in the 7th at the same time does suggest that you need to talk things out. You need to address some problems, maybe a lack of passion, a lack of inspiration, a lack of understanding, maybe a sense of like needing to figure out the mundane together, the problem solving, the who does what in a relationship, who takes out the trash, who washes the dishes, right? Things that are important, even though maybe we don't like talking about them. But yeah, like be careful for these kind of critical attitudes, and watch out that you're not spoiling a relationship by being too picky. And if your partner is doing that, maybe tell them that they should not do it, or show them my video and be like, hey, Anastasia said you might do it, so don't. Could be a great time for like improving a relationship, right? Like a more positive aspect of this transit. Maybe you watch a movie, maybe you start couples therapy, maybe if you're single, maybe you work on improving other relationships, maybe you read a book on psychology and what motivates us, what drives us. August 19th, Venus in your 7th opposes Saturn in the 1st. You might have to deal with some tension between your relationship and the duties you have to your health, to your job, to anything that is like more personal. So attention to self versus attention to relationship, needing to have a better balance there might be highlighted. And then on the 22nd of August, 3 days before, 3 days after, we have Venus squaring Mars in the 4th. And a conflict around home, family, and living situation is possible, whether it's your family or their family. That might be more individual, or even, different views on raising children, parenthood, living arrangements, and things like that. So a lot to think about, a lot to discuss. I highly recommend for you guys my Exalted Venus candle. This one is Venus in Pisces. It's green, which is the color of Venus, decorated with these beautiful 7 aquamarine stones, and it smells amazing. It smells like fresh ocean wave and like cucumbers and sort of cucumber water mixed in. If you're looking for this candle and more, you can find it on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. You can also book a reading on there and talk about your love life, talk about your year coming up, or your natal chart. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it resonated. And I hope we all have a beautiful Venus and Virgo transit, and that retrograde only means that we feel introspective and avoid all of the drama. At least I wish that for me and for you. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye.